Welcome back. Have you missed me? It's been ages. I'm so sorry. January has been pretty crazy. But welcome back to episode 47. I had to check on my laptop. Episode 47 of the Pins and Needles podcast. My name is Zoe and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Pins and Needles UK. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can either send me a direct message or drop me an email, the details of which are down below in the drop down box, as are all of the show notes for everything that I'm going to talk about today. Welcome back and welcome to any new viewers. My numbers have been steadily creeping up, which is always nice to see. And as I have had quite a bump in subscribers and there's a couple of things to chat about, I thought I'd just give you a little snapshot of me in case you're new. So like I said, my name is Zoe. I live on the coast in South Wales in the UK, about 10-12 miles west of Cardiff on Barry Island. And I'm here with my husband and my 3 kids and Jim the dog. He's a nice black Labrador. He often features on my Instagram videos and in my vlogs. So I work full time. I'm self-employed. My husband and I run a gym in Cardiff. So that's my main job. And then on the side, I do pattern designing, knitting pattern designing. I run knitting retreats with my friend Jenny of Owl About Yarn and all other yarny related goodness. There's a little bit of admin at the top of the episode, which I hope you will excuse me. First of all, I wanted to let everybody know that we still have a few places available on the Knit Tea Retreat for summer. And look, I'm drinking tea out of my branded mug, so I'm, really going for shameless self-promotion today. So the summer retreat is the 1st and 2nd of June, and it's being held in Stratford-on-Avon in the Midlands, which I'm sure you all know is the birthplace of Shakespeare. But it's also my hometown, and my parents and my brother still live there. And it is a one long knit night retreat. There's no workshops or anything like that, but we've hired the Alveston Manor Hotel, and it's going to be 2 days of sitting and knitting, chatting to friends. There's a marketplace on the Sunday afternoon, and on the Saturday night there's a river boat, like a canal boat restaurant called the Countess of Evesham, and we've booked out all of the Countess, and we all get to have a lovely 3-course dinner whilst chugging up and down the River Avon and looking at the swans. So like I said, we do have, I think, maybe 4 or 5 places left for that. If you are interested, I've left links down below to the Knit Tea Retreat website, and you can sign up online with the form for that. And also we do have, we have completely sold out for the October Knit Tea Retreat in Cardiff, but we don't have anybody on our waiting list. So if you are still keen on coming, I strongly suggest you go in and fill in our online form, because I think last year we had something like 4 or 5 people that just through circumstances just had to drop out at the last minute. So again, for the top 4 or 5 people off our waiting list did get a spot. So please do go and sign up there. And if you're interested in all of the details about cost and things like that, click through on the links, head over to the website for all of that sort of exciting information. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the enormous debate in the knitting community about diversity. I know it's been quite a hot topic, and rightly so. And if any of you watched the last podcast that I posted up, the one before this one that was about the retreat, Jenny and I made very clear on that video where we stand on this topic, but I did want to repeat it again here. And I just wanted to make it absolutely crystal that everybody is welcome in my online spaces. All races, all genders, all religions, all nationalities, you are all welcome here. And I will moderate comments and keep my online spaces safe for everybody. And should I ever miss anything, please do let me know. And that's it basically. I'm keeping across the conversations and discussions that are happening, and I'm continuing to read and learn and try and further my own understanding of things. But yes, this space, absolutely everybody is welcome, as long as you're nice. Okay, be nice. Right, let's crack on with some finished objects. I haven't actually done a proper Just Me podcast since I think Christmas, and I've got quite a few things to show you. So first of all, and you'll have to excuse the slightly manky state of these, my eldest son Conrad had requested some new fingerless mitts, so I obliged. It's probably easiest if I put these on. Now I knit these in a few days, and they came off my needles and they went straight onto his hands. I didn't get a chance to block them, and they've been worn for weeks and shoved in pockets and kicked around the bottom of a train, so they are not looking pristine, but these are they. So it's a lovely navy yarn. It's an Aran weight. And just checking, because I don't think I've still got the ball band. Yes, this is the Cosy Thermal Mitts pattern by Karen Everitt. That's available on Ravelry. And I think it's a free pattern. And I just changed out I used the numbers for that because it's an Aran weight pattern and this is an Aran weight yarn. But I used the stitch pattern from Anne Hanson's Hansies Mitt design. Just straight swapped it out. And I knit these in Woolyknit Aran in the colourway Denim on 4.5mm needles. It's a lovely yarn. They're a British yarn producer. And it's definitely, oh, you've gone all fuzzy. There we go. And it's very much on the woolly side. So it's going to be a really hard wearing pair of mitts. Conrad's last pair I knit out of Fibre Spates. Can't remember the name, but it was a silk, 45% silk, 55% merino wool mix. So when he just tried these on, it was a bit of a shock. But he said he's got used to it now and they're not scratchy anymore. So maybe if I can keep them off his hands long enough, I can give them a wash and a block and they'll come up a bit softer. But yeah, it's really nice to have seen him wearing those. And now I have a bit of a sock parade. I don't know if you remember these. I'll see if I can put them on a blocker. 1 second. So many socks to show you. Yes, there we go. So this sock is one of my own designs. It's called Hither and Thither, and it's basically it's a slip stitch pattern which you then cable the slip stitch, and it's a really fun pattern for breaking up busy yarn. And I knit these on a 2.25mm needle in some of Jenny's yarn. This is Owl About Yarn Happy Owl sock, which is a BFL nylon sock yarn, in a one-off colourway called Party Bus. And I did, well, I knit these for my mum, and they were her birthday socks, and it was her birthday in October of last year. And she was absolutely thrilled to have them, and she took them home and couldn't get them on her feet. So I don't know if I knit them at a particularly tight gauge, because the slip stitch pattern only comes around half the sock, so I didn't think it was that. Anyway, so I took them back and I ripped it out and I re-knit them for her on a larger needle. And I added in contrast toes and heels just to make sure I had enough yarn. So there we go. So I'm hoping that when I see her at the end of the month, these will fit. So yeah, my pattern, hither and thither. Hither and thither. And there is a pair, I promise. So they were quite good fun. Next up is more socks. Now, I have an older brother called Toby, and he has never yet had a pair of hand knit socks from me. And I promised I'd knit him some for Christmas, and I just ran out of time completely. But as it turned out, it didn't matter because what he had ordered me for Christmas hadn't arrived. So we just gave each other an IOU on Christmas Day. But I have now knit him this lovely pair of socks. And this is Regia Design Line 4 Fairdig in one of the Arne and Carlos colourways, 2643 Tokke. And it's a completely vanilla sock. I absolutely love the yarn. and it's a 2x2 rib, heel flap and gusset, standard wedge toe. And when I was at the Knit Tea Retreat last October, we organised a bring and take table. So anyone that attended could go through their stash and pull out anything they didn't really want anymore or wasn't really their thing. And we all put our unwanted crafty bits in the middle of the table, and we all took it in turns to go around and pick one thing out. And this ball of yarn was one of those items. So thank you very much to whoever it was that donated this. I'm really pleased with them. My brother nearly didn't get the socks, but yes, they have been complete for over a month now, but I didn't want to send them to him until I'd shown you. So my brother will now have warm feet just in time for spring. Perfect. And then my last finished object to show you is socks for me. These are on slightly too small sock blockers, so the toes are going to look a bit limp. But there we go. Again, just a vanilla sock, 2x2 rib. And this is in last year's West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colourway called Fairy Lights. And then the contrast is also West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in cayenne pepper. What's the number on that? Fairy Lights is 849 and cayenne pepper is 510. So those are for me. And I haven't worn these. I've been keeping them nice to show you. So I might treat myself and put those on tomorrow morning. I bought those, again, talking about the retreat, I bought these balls of yarn from Ange of Yarn and Yarns. She came to the retreat and she also had a stand. She runs my local yarn shop, Yarn and Yarns, in Penarth, which is just the town that's between me and Cardiff. She has some lovely stuff in there. She doesn't have an online shop, but she is always happy to post things out, so if you're interested. She's recently got in that new yarn line by Opal. Is it Monet? Ange, is that what it is? I'm aching for some of that, but trying to be restrained because I have a lot more yarn than I have time to knit it. So that's all my finished objects. So I need to pack all of these socks up and send them off so that my family can have nice warm feet. I did have one other pair of fingerless mitts to show you. I knitted some for Max, my other son, but he wanted to come on and show you himself, and he's playing out with his mates at the moment, so that will just have to be next time. In terms of works in progress, I'm at a little bit of a frustrating stage, to be perfectly honest. First up is my shawl pattern. And I'm knitting the Loden shawl, which is a pattern for Brooklyn tweed designed by Irina Dmitrieva. And I have to try and find a sheet of paper that doesn't have the pattern on it, but I can show you a picture. And that's the one. So it's a lovely leafy, oh, put my teeth in, leafy lace pattern with a big mesh band in the middle. And it's not particularly complicated lace, but I seem to be mucking it up every chance I get. It is knit from the bottom up, so you have a lot of work to do with the cast on side of things, but that's not a problem. And I'm knitting it in some of my deepest stash yarn. I keep my yarn sorted by weight in great big space bags, which I then dump into one of those IKEA wooden crates. You know, the ones that have got sort of holes, they're like checkerboard. So if this yarn was from an archaeological dig, this would be pre-Neolithic. It's that old. So yes, it's Araucania Ranco Solid, PT 486. That's the yarn label. And it's a 2 skein job. When I was reading the helpful pattern notes on Ravelry, everybody said that they didn't use the 2 full skeins that the pattern specified. So I took a bit of a risk and I went up a needle size. It's supposed to be 4mm and I'm doing 4.5. And this is the yarn. So it's a very lovely tonal green colour. I haven't bothered alternating skeins. As I was winding them up, they looked a pretty good match, and as they are tonal, it's not too important. And I have just finished chart B. So here it is. It's pretty enormous. It's a lovely colour. I'm really enjoying the colour. It's going to go with lots of different things that I wear. And I've just started on the second skein, so I've got plenty of yarn. No need to worry about playing yarn chicken. So as you can see, and I'm sure you'll spot it straight away, can you see where I made my mistake? Just here. There's this beautiful smocked leafy border at the bottom, and then into this mesh stitch. And they give you stitch counts for the end of every chart. And when I'd finished the first chart, chart A, I had too many stitches. So I tinked back the last purl row, because all of the wrong side rows are purl, and thought I'd fixed it. But I hadn't, obviously. And as you can see in the spine being one stitch off, it is rather noticeable, but I wasn't going to faff around with it too much. And then I trucked along on the mesh lace. There we are. Now this isn't difficult, this bit, but it is a bit fiddly. I'm using Knit Pro Symphony wooden needles, which I like very much, but the tips are quite blunt, and there's a lot. It's a 3-stitch repeat for this mesh, and you're passing one stitch over some of the others, and it's just really, you've really got to dig at it with your needle to get the point in. So having finished that next chart, I have 3 stitches too many on one side, on this first side, but I've gone along the length of the whole shawl and opened it up, and everything is lined up correctly. So I'm not too sure why I've mucked up, but I think what I will probably do is try and sneak in some decreases. I might tink back the last handful of stitches and just see if I can bodge it a bit. I left in my lifeline, just in case any of you hadn't come across one before. So when I got to the end of the first chart, can you see there's some white crochet cotton running through my knitting, and a couple of stitch markers that are caught in just there. So when you're knitting any pattern, not just lace, you can put it anywhere you like, and you want to mark a place in your pattern that you know where you are and you know your pattern is correct up to that point, you can just thread some crochet cotton or a thinner yarn through your knit stitches, and that will hold them, that will mark the place, so that if you make a mistake, you can just rip your knitting out and all of the stitches will be caught on that lifeline, and you know that you're safe to pick up from there and try again. You don't have to leave your stitch markers in place. I tend to with lace, so that if I rip back, my stitch markers are all set and ready to go. You can just skip them if you want. And yeah, I bought myself a massive ball of white crochet cotton several years ago, and it's still going strong. You can either use a tapestry needle to thread it through, but lots of interchangeable needle sets have this hole in the bottom, and you can insert the end of your lifeline through that hole, and then it slides it in as you knit along. But bear in mind, if you do that, it will attach all your stitch markers. So that's where I'm at with that. So I realised my error a couple of days ago, and I've shoved it back in its bag. I don't think it'll be a problem. The pattern isn't out anywhere. I'm not off kilter anywhere. I just need to decrease those extra stitches away before I carry on. So that's quite good fun. I've been enjoying that. It just needs to think quietly about what it's done before I can carry on. That's that one. The other project I have on my needles, goodness me, I've got so many different piles of things, is another sock whip. Now, as part of the retreats, we're running a Knitalong, which everybody is free and welcome to come and enter. It's not just for people that are coming to the retreats. And at the moment, we're running the Stratford Knitalong. And the idea is just to get people chatting and meeting each other and having fun. So we keep the rules as loose as possible. So the Knitalong has already started. There's a link down below to the Ravelry group for the retreat, and it's a sticky thread in there. And it was just make something loosely related to Stratford, rivers, summer, tea and cake. I mean, seriously, almost anything goes. So what I decided to do was cast on a sock, because I had empty sock needles, which is always uncomfortable. And I cast on with this skein of yarn. Now this was one of 2 skeins of sock yarn given to me by Maria. Hi Maria. She's a friend of mine and also my tech editor. And she came to see us. Ooh, which yarn show was it? I can't remember. I remember the venue, but I can't remember where we were. It was near Hertfordshire, near Stevenage. Anyway, and this is Supergarn active sock yarn. And what's interesting about this is that it's got 25% cotton in it. So to get it in... Hang on a minute. My son has just arrived. Right, I'm back. Just told Max where his lunch was. Right, so this is 50% wool, 25% cotton and 25% polyamide. It's in the colourway 7295. So there's the yarn label. So it's a self-striping. And that's how far I've got. So I think that's working up rather nicely. Now I'm knitting this 2.25mm needles, and these are my Chowgu DPNs. So I am getting some laddering. You see, maybe a bit. I always do, but I just prefer it so much more to Magic Loop that when it's a nicely patterned yarn like this, you don't really notice. You won't notice the ladders, will you, if I don't point them out? So that's my grab and go brainless knitting project, which I'm quite enjoying. And I'm keeping it in my Eldenwood Craft bee bag, which I love. It's just the perfect size. Oh, excuse the cobwebs, I have been using it. Next up is my other knit along that I'm running, and this is just in my Ravelry group, and again there's a thread there, and it's the Newfangled make along, and basically it's any craft that's new to you, or any pattern or any yarn or any designer that's new to you. It's just an excuse to have a go at something you've been meaning to have a go at. So we've got knitters and crocheters and all sorts, and it's a really nice thread to go and have a read through if you have a look at all the projects. So I decided I was going to try quilting, and I wanted to make myself a quilted mat to go under my sewing machine, because I pushed the machine backwards and forwards across my table, and at the moment I just have a folded tea towel to help it slide, but I thought maybe a quilted mat would be a nice place to start. And then I thought that might be a bit ambitious, so I found online some free quilted coaster tutorials and thought I'd have a bash at that. Now I've printed the tutorial out, but I can't remember the name of the website that I found it from. But if you Google free quilted coaster patterns, it's one of the first half a dozen that comes up. So I dug out a section of fat quarters that I had, and I have made one. It's a set of 4, and I'm not sure I'm going to make the other 3 because, oh my God, look at this pathetic thing. I mean, my goodness, what a ratty, wonky bit of fabric that is. Now, I don't know how I ended up with this set of fat quarters in my stash. The fabrics are a bit twee, but I thought, well, it doesn't matter. And I can't deny that I have ended up with a felted log cabin square coaster, and you could absolutely rest a mug on this. But oh my goodness, look at it. Look at it. And I tell you what the problem is. I cut out, it gives you a list on the the pattern of what size squares and oblongs you need and how many of each colour, of each size. So I thought, right, I'm going to cut myself out some templates, and then everything will be the same size and I can keep track of everything. And so that's what I did. So look, there's my 4-inch template, and there's my 3.5 by 1.5. It was all going swimmingly. Turns out cutting out millions of tiny pieces is a massive faff, but I did it. And I've got all the other ones all bundled up, ready to go, look. But I don't know if I did it right because they don't fit together. So when it says cut out a 2.5-inch square, that's what I did. So that measures 2.5 inches along all sides, which gives you one of these, right? And then you sew, you sew these two bits together, and look, they're the right size, so they fit. And then you need to sew the next bit on. I can't remember which way around it was. Yeah, so I sewed this one onto this one, and they were the correct length to go together. But then this bottom strip here, it didn't fit. The edges didn't line up with the pattern I had. It was too long. But they're definitely the right size because these are the right size. So when a quilting pattern says cut out a square 2.5 by 1.5 inches, is it a diagonal measurement or what? Because it makes no sense. Anyway, I refused to be beaten by fabric, and I bodged it. I just sort of whacked it in the middle, kept going, and that's what I ended up with. And also the quilting seam allowance for the pattern, and I think in general, is 1/8 of an inch. No, a quarter of an inch. Quarter of an inch, which my machine does not like at all. So when you're back stitching at the start, you get this massive quilting wedgie in the throat plate of your machine, and it just massive thread nest, total nightmare. So I alonged. I did along. This is it. I mean, honestly, it looks like something your 6-year-old would bring home from school and you have to be polite about. But luckily, lots of other people are being much more successful with their projects. Yeah. I think I need to spend some more time reading about quilting because I don't understand. You know, I get not being very good at the quilting bits. You know, it's a skill, it takes time and practice. I'm not expecting it to be perfect by any means, but I really don't understand why the bleeding templates don't fit together. Anyway, what can I say? I had a go, and that's the whole point of the make along. So yes, do come and join us in the thread, and you can have a good laugh at the picture of my coaster when I put that up. I did have one other, it's the long threads pinwheel quilted coasters, and look, that gives me actual templates that I can cut out, so those will be the same size. Maybe I'll be a bit more successful with those ones. We'll have to wait and see. I tried. You're probably all hooting with laughter at me, and all you experienced quilters are just dying laughing, but never mind. There we go. In terms of acquisitions, I meant to show this on my last podcast before Christmas. One of my Christmas presents from my mum was some lovely bunting that she made. Now, she was really kind and helped Jenny and I a great deal with the retreat. Not just turning up on the weekend and helping us run it, but creating the table centerpieces and helping with the bunting. And having made more bunting than any woman should ever have to make in the same year, she ran me up some more Christmas bunting. Look! It's got applique presents and Christmas fabric on it, and this rather lovely sort of Hessian string. And look, that's one of my favourites, the Norwegian fabric. And how smashing is that? So we had Christmas at my mum's house. which meant I opened these on Christmas Day, so I didn't get to put them up in my own house till we got back. But I hung it around the stairs, but I think it was probably a bit better along a mantelpiece. Might put it up here next year. So yay, thanks Mum. That's really good fun. I enjoyed that. And the other acquisition I had was a very lovely viewer sent me this massive envelope of sewing patterns to give away. So I've got, there's an awful lot in here. And what I will probably do, Jim the dog's come to see me, is split them up into different parcels, and then when I run knit-alongs, if anyone is a sewer, I'll offer them up as an option. But there's some really lovely ones. I like that split back top actually. They're all big 4, and yes, and look, some nice off the shoulder ones. Look, really nice. There's a nice kimono on that one. So thank you ever so much for donating those, much appreciated. And yeah, they will definitely be going into the knit-along, make-along prizes donation box. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of it for crafting content. I haven't had a massive amount of time for crafting since most of those socks and things that I got done between Christmas and New Year. I had a bit more knitting time then, but it's been in short supply. As I said, I work in the gym industry, and so January is nuts. In terms of life stuff, we had the BBC filming in our house in January. I don't know if I mentioned it on the last podcast or not, but they came and took over most of the house for a week, and that nearly killed us all. They were a really nice bunch of people. They were filming an episode of Casualty, which I think is going to be shown on the BBC in May. And they took over our house for a week. And so on the Monday, they set everything up. They packed a load of our things up and put furniture in all different rooms and things. And then they filmed Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday they put everything back again. And it was incredibly disruptive, and we had to be out of the house from 7:30 in the morning till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, depending on their filming schedule. And that's with all 3 kids and the dog, so it was a bit awkward. I kept thinking, I'll take the kids trampolining. No, I can't do that because of the dog. We can go to the pictures. No, we can't do that because I've got the dog. So there was one evening where Dave took the children to the pictures, and I just did massive walks around Cardiff Bay in the rain with the dog. But we had a nice pub meal out one evening, and it was interesting. It was interesting to see what they did to the place. So that was a pretty crazy week. More recently, everybody's been sick. Dave came down with a nasty virus that meant he had a couple of days off work, and then he passed it on to the rest of us. So we've all been falling like dominoes, and covering shifts for each other at work and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, that's about it. I've just been super, super busy at work. I've had a few new people start working for us, so I've been busy training them up. And yeah, January is just crazy busy. So yeah, hence the lack of podcasting, I'm afraid. But things to look forward to. Next month is Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and Jenny and I are going. So that's the back end of March. So we'll be there Friday and Saturday. Yes, Friday and Saturday. We're not going to EYF on the Sunday. We're just going to wander around the city, maybe go to the castle, and then we're flying back super early on the Monday morning. I will be around. There isn't the official Podcasters Lounge this year, but there's that massive bit, just the general lounge area with chairs and tables. So I'll be around there if anyone wants to come and say hello. Keep an eye on Instagram because I'll put more details of where I'll be at when up on there. And hopefully I'll get to see some of you there. Do please come and find me and say hello. It's always nice to meet people. Don't be shy. And I think that's about it. I am going to tidy up my mess, get this edited. I've got to take some pictures to put in the titles. And then I can get it uploaded. Hopefully you can all be watching this podcast whilst drinking tea in bed on Sunday morning. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed catching up. I certainly enjoyed having a chat. And remember, if you're interested in the Knit Tea Retreat, we do have spaces for June in Stratford-on-Avon and spaces on the waiting list for Cardiff in October. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you soon.